What is your favorite modern convenience in a vehicle? I'd have to say one of mine is keyless entry. I've got 2 children, chasing them all over the place. One of my favorite things is to be able to just whip them in the car and the doors all be open. And doing that from a distance is really nice. But, this car, it's from 1993. They didn't do those kind of things. So what do you do about that? Well, in figuring out my stereo wiring, which was not cool, not going to do a video on that, absolutely hated it. But in figuring that out, because my car had a factory amplifier and all sorts of extra things, I found this mysterious box underneath the seat. It had absolutely no markings anywhere on it. A blue plug with this interesting antenna port here. And so I thought to myself, what the hell is this thing? And I spent a lot of time on the internet trying to figure that out. It was secured to the carpet with a prong like this and a strap that went over the top of it to hold it down. And there's even a little recession in the top of this thing to hold it down like that, which I thought, this has to be some sort of aftermarket thing, because Toyota would have stamped a part on there for sure. What I later realized is that it was a keyless entry module from like a JDM Toyota of this era. The issue is that it has no way of being reprogrammed, so once that original key is gone, you're out of luck. So after a bunch of research and watching another Speed Academy video, they did a whole Supra build, which I'll give you the link to over here. But they made note of a person, OEM for JDM is the name of the shop, that was selling these kits with a master key and a plug-and-play module to replace your keyless entry with. So I tried to purchase it through OEM for JDM, and unfortunately was not able to do that. When I contacted them, they said that they were no longer making the part and there was no way to get it. So I'm stubborn, and there's absolutely no way I was going to put up with that, and I wanted keyless entry because it is a super convenient feature. So I went online, scoured the internet, finally figured out the part number, and that was through like a Supra Forums thread that I was able to like figure it out. So I found the part number, went onto Yahoo Japan, and actually went into the like shopping area and was able to purchase it with the OEM part number, which I'll show you a little picture of and everything here. But I'm going to show you in the car where it's located and how you can maybe figure out if your car was optioned with this, because then it's a pretty straightforward process as far as how to install it back on your car using this same part number and everything. So this is the thing that I found underneath the seat. I showed you previously the one that I originally found, but this is the replacement module that I gave you the part to. And here's that antenna wire as well that I was talking about. So it had the electrical connector, the antenna wire, and that's what originally like made me think maybe that's what it was for, was keyless entry. Then I saw the Speed Academy video and that led me down the path, but I ended up getting this for, I want to say right around $130. And I plugged it in, and then after I plugged it in, it did absolutely nothing. Then Sam told me that kind of a common procedure on these is when you get the key and the security like module, what you generally do is you hit the lock and unlock buttons as you connect the battery. So that's what we did, and that was honestly all it took to work. It did the lock sequence, and that was it. Now it's been working ever since then. I've had the battery disconnected multiple times, so whatever we did at that point, synced it to the car, and now it's good to go.
So the new remote module, keyless entry module, comes with a brand new factory Toyota key. Really nice. It's a real Toyota key, and it looks about the same size as a regular Toyota key, but it also has buttons on it for the remote keyless entry. It contains a battery, just like every other key fob or remote would, but we didn't know if it actually came with a battery or not. And when we were initially having problems with this thing just not working, because we plugged it in and we could press buttons all day long and it didn't do anything, my first thought was, well, maybe it didn't come with a battery. So there's a screw here. If you want to zoom in, there's a little tiny screw right where the key meets the fob. I don't know, what would you call that? The top piece, the housing of the remote piece. I don't know, it's like a regular key, so I don't know what you'd call that. But so there's the screw. It's much like a Lexus key, which I'm a little bit more familiar with. So I was looking for that. So I thought, okay, cool. Pull the screw out. Start gently prying on this thing to get it apart. You can clearly see that it's two halves just by looking at it. And we pushed and pulled and pried and could not get this thing apart. And we kind of had to confirm that there was a battery in here in order to continue going with troubleshooting and figure out what was going on with this thing or why it wasn't working. It would be the dumbest mistake in the world for us to go through wiring harnesses, to go through testing power and ground and signals and trying to look up troubleshooting guides and just going through this huge, massive, wiring, programming, signal issue that we thought we were having if there was just no battery in here. So we had to confirm that there was a battery in here, but this thing was so tight, it just would not come apart. We tried all sorts of picks, screwdrivers, plastic trim panel tools, which I think is what we ended up using to really get it apart. But in order to actually get it apart, we broke it. And this was a very rare and expensive Japanese item that Adam luckily purchased, not me. And I'm the one who broke it. So sorry about that. But we had to make sure that there was a battery in it. And it turns out there was. So even though we had to confirm it, it was there the whole time. So I guess technically we didn't have to take it out, but we didn't know. So there's a tab. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see it very well. Right in there, right underneath the hoop for the key ring, there used to be a plastic tab there. And that is what broke when we popped it apart. Now again, there's a screw in here, so luckily we got it back together, screwed it together. It's pretty solid and it's brand new. It's not old and worn out and cracked anywhere, which, all the old Camrys and Corollas have the top of the little hoop missing because they're old. But that little tab there was kind of the key to getting it apart. And we didn't really know that, kind of had a suspicion, but in order to get this thing apart, we kind of had to pry on it too hard and it snapped. So if you actually get one of these, it probably comes with a battery. And if you need to take it apart, if you need to try and replace a battery, be very careful. I don't even really know what the best way to get this apart without breaking it would be, because I tried everything that I could think of and every little way of prying and pushing and trying to be gentle with this thing, but I don't know. Didn't work, broke it, but all in all, it's mostly one piece, so it's still usable.